All right, welcome to the Franchise Time Machine. I've got an experiment set up for tonight, or I guess teed up for tonight. I haven't really set anything up yet other than a slide. But it's something I intended to test out a while ago, but it came up again today. So it inspired me to kind of push some other stuff off my plate and move this one to the top of the list for today. So what we're doing is, if you're here, let's open up the base game so I can show what I'm talking about. Um, Oh, you know what? Also, let's check in. let me also sign into one of my PT accounts because I am in a deciding game five for in the 6L for the quarterfinal. If I win, I will get standing points for 2 days in a row in the 6L. That does not happen to me a lot. I'm not that good at the 6L. I would probably say I'm better at the 5L, but I've not been good at either in PT 25. So let me log into that. So let's see. Well, the green text is that's a good sign. Okay, that's awesome. We've made it to the semifinals and at least another point in the 6-0 standings. 14-1 win over the Idaho Vandals in game 5 of our series. That's three series in a row that went the distance. So my team is probably pretty fatigued. We'll have to check on that. MD Weeble? That's a manager I don't know. Huh. Let's see how tired we are. Catcher's tired. Left fielder's tired. We have iron backups in the outfield. So that's not great, but uh, Glenn Burke's one of them, though. He's really good about against lefties. So good against a lefty. Ezra Denny, thank you for the raid. Enjoyed your stream. I liked seeing a new game. It was a new game to me, at least. Although I was watching the game. I know I was watching during the seventh inning, but somehow I think I missed the seventh inning stretch, which is a bummer because that's one of my favorite things about an Ezra Denny stream is whatever you come up with the seventh inning stretch is usually pretty entertaining. Oh, you were too mad? Okay, so I didn't miss it. I did see you stand up because you were mad. I guess that was the stretch then. There are a lot of errors in that game. I would have been, I'm impressed that you didn't do a table flip, considering how oddly that game went. So yeah, before starting up this experiment tonight, I just wanted to peek in on the 6L to see how it was doing, and it turns out I made it to the semifinals. Clay Dog says, "Bought a combi Adam Dunn, owe it all to my sim." I think that at least in the first half of the cycle, that you couldn't have gone wrong with an Adam Dunn combi. I just hope as soon as now that you bought one, there isn't some new meta card that comes out next week on Tuesday that that diminishes the value of your Adam Dunn combi. Hard to flip a standing DS. Yes, that is true. He's pretty much a backup in your roster already. All right, so here's what we're doing today. I've always wondered about this. And when I started doing experiments in the completely average league, I added to the list of things I wanted to test for. But it's pretty boring and it's pretty niche. It's a pretty boring topic and it's pretty niche. I think the experiment will actually be interesting. Um, but the reason it came up here, I can actually show you in this tournament. Let's just go to any batter. Let's go to Jerk Store. Um, so if you go to player strategy, right, if you've done any slider stuff, you're probably familiar with this, where you can change someone's sliders. These are actually the defaults. Some players come with defaults, others are just straight down the middle when you get them. So of course you can change. We're going to talk about bunting today. So you can change sacrifice bunt anywhere from, I think there's 5 clicks. Let me confirm that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there's 5 clicks down and there's 5 clicks up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So you can set it from -5 to +5. Now, there's also separately the team settings, right? That have the same -5 to +5 field. There's bunt, there's sacrifice bunt here, and then there's sacrifice bunt here. And you have the choice to either adjust to team strategy settings or override team strategy settings. Yeah. Sorry. Thanks, Clay Dog. So, I'm so bad at this. I, wrong screen. Okay, sorry. So here's what I'm saying. Okay. Sacrifice bunt. All right, let me start over. Sacrifice bunt. You can set it at 5 down, right? That's 5 clicks down. Or we go back to the middle and there's 5 clicks up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So there's 0 to -5, 0 to +5. It's a 10-point range, but tonight I'm going to refer to it as 0, -5, +5. 0 will be the middle setting. So that's at the player level. And then at the team level, you have your team strategies. For sacrifice bunt, you have -5 to +5. Now, at the player level, then you have these choices: adjust to team strategy settings or override team strategy settings. I've seen several streamers talk about these settings. Several streamers talk about the mode, adjust to team or override team. And I've heard several theories about what happens. So I wanted to set up an experiment to figure it out. Um, Solid guess. So here's what I want to do. In the completely average league, so for those of you who are new to my stream or haven't been watching my stream when we do an experiment, I've created a league where every player on every team is completely average and completely identical, down to the height and weight, down to their bunting ratings, fielding ratings. Try to take um, try to eliminate any variance so that the only thing different is what we want to test. So tonight we have 4 teams, so I'm going to have these 4 settings. The first team will have bunting set to 0, and all the players will be +5 bunting, adjust to team settings. The second team will be 0 bunting for team, +5 override team settings. Or so +5 bunting with override team settings. And then we'll have the team set at +5 bunting, and all the players will be +5 bunting, adjust to team settings. And then finally, +5 team with all the players +5 override team settings. And at the end of the season, we'll look at the sacrifice hit numbers and see what they look like. The other change I might make is right now in this league, all of the strategies are set to sabermetric, and we might change them all to small ball just so that we get more bunting, so that we can see more. Hopefully, we see more differentiation because we get more bunting. So I guess I should add that. Okay. So that'll be the other change. We'll set all team strategies to small ball. Clado says this one's fascinating me. I've been more curious about it for base running, but bunting should be illuminating too. Yeah. So the main thing I just want to understand is what does adjust and what does override do? I think once we learn that, you can apply that then to your base running, Claydog. At least you'll know, are you doing a +5 or are you doing a +10? There could be even more possibilities. So here are some of the theories that I've heard. Okay, theory one is override replaces the team setting. So if that's the case, this +5 should act like a +5, right? You're replacing a +5 with a +5. And if that's also true, then this 0 +5 should also act like a +5. The adjust is the one I hear more theories on. One theory I've heard is adjust basically adds the 5 to the 5 to whatever the team is set at. So in that case, if the team is a +5 and the adjust is +5, then it would act like a +10. And then another theory I've heard, and this is I think what Dr. Dynastic was suggesting today, was that if your team is set at +5 and your player is set at adjust +5, then it'll move it higher than the +5 because it'll take the team and raise it. But he didn't say this explicitly, but I feel like there's like a group of people, and it sounded like maybe he might be in this group, where it doesn't act like +10 though. It'll take the +5 and it'll adjust it a little higher, but not all the way to +10. I actually don't know. What I what I take it to mean is the override part to me is ignore what the team is set at, and we'll treat it as we'll just treat it as +5. So if the team is set at +5, it's +5. If the team is set at 0, it's still +5. The adjust part is the one I really don't know. And now that I'm talking about this, I'm wondering if I need to use the 8-team league, because do we need this? Let me create a new slide here. Do we actually need? I hope not. To be complete, do we also need? And then I'm gonna have to shrink this down to make it fit. Do we need the additional ones here? Do we need 0s and 5s with no adjuster override? I'm actually, the more I'm discussing it, the more you do negative instead of 0, like this. Yeah, 0 is central in the slider. That's correct. Hmm. In that case, then maybe this is what it should look like. Well, hold on. Let me keep this. Let me make yet another slide. Okay, this is so I have two versions of the slide now, so I can play with this one. Yeah, I think we're about to say the same thing. So I was thinking, oops. I think I want this to be -5, or I mean, there are so many different combinations we could do here. We have Or maybe are you saying do go back to this, but instead of so why don't we do this? In the interest of time, let's start with this. And there's one outcome where it says you don't need to do any more experimenting. It's pretty clear like what the definitions are. But then there's a version of the outcomes where it's not clear, and then I think let's expand it to other combinations and be more extreme. Like start we'll include -5 team, 0 team, +5 team, -5 adjust, -5 override, all the way to +5 adjust, +5 override. But I think let's jump in with this first and see what happens. But Clay, I agree with you that there are other combinations of these settings that might tell us more. But let's start with this first, just to see if there's anything to be found. You want to throw in 1, -5, and 0. So we could do that, but then that means um, so the thing is, I'm trying to test adjust and override, not necessarily testing +5, -5. If we're going to do that, then I think this is what changes. This becomes -5 team, -5 team, which actually gives us more space, right? It increases the space between, instead of 0 to +5, we're now expanding the space to -5 to +5. And so maybe that makes it easier for us to see differences. So let's do this. We'll run it with this. I actually like the idea of doubling the space between the two team settings. All right, so let's go back to the base game. Let's also see how I'm doing in the 6L. All right, we've lost the first game of the semifinal. 68 Pirate PCK, so it's a PAX only team. entrant, but it's a draft, so all right. I'll stay logged in on that side just so we can check in on that tournament when we finish the sim. Okay, so we're gonna create a new game. We'll use the 4x4 quick start. The most recent version of that is version 6, I think. Who's the photo of my team logo? It's so my team name is Low Diamond Phillips. So it's a photo of the actor Lou Diamond Phillips. It's just every time when I first started playing Perfect Team, anytime someone said Low Diamond, my brain would fill in the last name Phillips because I would always think of the actor Lou Diamond Phillips, even though they're saying Low Diamond. And so I just thought it was funny that I thought it'd be funny to name a team Low Diamond Phillips. So then for my logo, I found a picture of him, and it's actually kind of a cool picture. It's let me see if I can. How do I get the best big photo here? Well, anyway, it's a picture of him now, and then behind him are four different pictures of him from different movies. One night in stream, we figured out what they were. One is La Bamba, one is I think Stand and Deliver, one is Young Guns, and I forget the military one. But yeah, so it's all versions of Lou Diamond Phillips. Yeah, so he is wearing a suit. Yeah, so that's where that team name comes from. It comes from my brain always filling in the last name Phillips whenever I heard someone in stream saying Low Diamond. All right, so quick start. This is the 4x4 quick start version 6. This will be um, adjust override. Let's do bunt adjust override version 01. Couldn't go commercial. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the managers too and make sure I'll make sure the manager's bunt setting matches the team bunt setting because that's a whole different experiment we can test. Does the does the manager's strategy preference override the team strategy preference if you let the AI run the team? But want to take that out of play for this sim. Actually, let me go ahead and start a let me start a contest form for the 10-pack giveaway. So we'll go to Google Forms. I'll start with the one from last night and copy it. Episode 105. Slider, adjust, and override. And here, I'll show you the form I'm working on here. So we played create a roster again last night, but today we are doing um, all right, invite stream. Be testing the impact of team versus player slider settings, especially the difference between adjust to team settings and override team settings. For tiebreakers, its closest answer is not Price is Right rules. Experimental details. We will be using the 4x4 completely average league. (2023) season with our usual simulation settings. No injuries, no suspensions, personality off, chemistry off, morale off, development off, no historical trades, no trades, modifier set to 1, no normalization. We will also set all teams to small ball strategy. And I forgot we're going to test bunting. So the test using the slider for sacrifice bunt. I guess manager and bench coach, just in case. Each team, their team strategy, bunting slider set to -5 or +5. Each team will have all their player bunting sliders set to -5 adjust, -5 override, +5 adjust, or +5 override. Okay. Again, everybody, when you put in your OOTP login, please make sure the capitalization is correct. Supposedly, this is case sensitive when it comes to pack giveaways. And your Twitch username, it doesn't matter. That's just for me to use um, in chat. And also, when we do the initial reveal of the guesses, I hide all the names. When we do the final reveal and figure out the winner, I unhide just the Twitch username. I won't show your OOTP login ID. Okay, so what are going to be our questions here? Which team? Well, the first couple are going to be softballs, but maybe not, depending on how you think about how this is going to work. Which team will have the highest or the most. This is going to be AL and NL combined. And our four choices will be -5 team, -5 adjust. Second choice is -5 team, +5 or -5 override. Or wait, what did I say? Did I say they'd be all +5s? I think I said that they'd be all +5s. I did say all +5s, so I need to change that in the form too. I think if we feel there's need for more experimentation, the next time we do this, we'll have 8 teams. We'll go -5 team, +5 team, and then we'll go -5 adjust, +5, -5 adjust, -5 override, +5 adjust, +5 override. We'd have to do that twice, so we'd have 8 teams. It still tests the extremes, but we're missing any zeros, right? I mean, we can't test them all, but we'll try to figure out the. But let's see how this one goes first. I mean, I guess we could test them all, but that's not my goal. My goal is to try to come up with fun experiments that still give us insights into how the game works. So these are +5 adjust, +5 override. +5 team, +5 adjust. Now, I'm not expecting any. Well, yeah, depending on how you think adjust and override work, we might have some differences here. Um, let's move this. Let's do this first, though. Which one will have the fewest? Let's do that first. And which one will have the most? Because I think the most might have more differentiation in how people answer. Let's. Oh, one thing I meant to check is how many sacrifice hits there were in the major leagues. So let's go to BREF. Twenty 23 MLB. Sacrifice hits. Well, look at the Braves. Bunted twice. Okay, so the league average was 14 sacrifice hits, but with quite a bit of variance. So I guess this is technically a tiebreaker. Let me, I just need that 14 number. So the second question is technically a tiebreaker. This is like survival
Why do you
style.
keep following me around?
But I'm not answering a ton of eliminations from those first two questions. Norton333, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. So tiebreaker one, number 2 will be what will be the number of sacrifice hits by the team with the most hits, AL and NL combined. 2023 MLB average 14. So keep in mind this AL and NL combined. So this is 2 teams worth of sacrifice hits. Hey Dubby, welcome back to the stream. Okay, and then tiebreaker 3. This will be a short answer. And then let's delete this one. Let's delete this one. And let's delete this one. Then tiebreaker 3 will be what will be the number selected by the team with the fewest. Just to make sure, times 2 equals 28 sacrifice hits. I don't want people to forget that I'm asking for, because each of these teams, like the -5 +5 adjust team, there's 2 of them. There's one in the AL and one in the NL. For all of them, I'm combining the totals to try to reduce the noise. And so when I say the total for a team, it's a total combining 2 seasons worth, the AL season, the NL season. All right, so that'll be the pack giveaway contest. Let's go back to the base game while I generate the URL. Before I do that, though, let me open the form to take responses. See, I didn't need Max LP80 to remind me of that, but let's go ahead and give him a shout out anyway. Shout out to Max LP80. He's a fellow West Coast late night streamer. I was betting that I'd forget too. So check him out. He streams after me on Wednesdays and Thursday nights, and often goes on into the next morning. If he's on one of his longer streams, you can catch drops for tonight, and then he'll cross over past 2 a.m. Pacific time into the next Twitch days drops. So you can actually get 5 drops from him tonight and 5 drops for the next morning if he does one of his longer streams. link to form for tonight's 10-pack giveaway. And again, it'll be 7 packs to first place and 3 packs to second place. Let me pin that to the chat. Good luck, everybody. And as always, thanks to OOTP Developments for the packs that we get to give away. Okay, so the naming the teams might be tricky this time because I don't think it'll accept plus or minuses in the name. But I always start with renaming the team so I know I can just look up and see like what changes I'm making. It's sometimes hard to keep track when there's so many changes being made. So I guess it's, will it accept -5? The plus side is the one I'm more worried about. Adjust. -5 +5 override. And this is where I'm also worried about it. um, and also, I'm limited to I think 4 letters here. I think sack hit is just their this the statistics for a sacrifice hit. I believe is just that you successfully move the runner over. So I'm assuming. So if you bunt more, you should get more sacrifice hits, and everyone has the same bunting ability. So I'm assuming that it, I guess yeah. There's a big assumption I'm making is that the number of successful sacrifice hits will correlate with the number of attempted sacrifice hits. Right. So yeah, it's sacrifice bunts, but it's successful sacrifice bunts. So yeah, there is a bit of an assumption I'm making there. So I'm guessing it's minus. Let's see if it'll let me. Let me see, accept a minus sign. -5 5, and this is the AL. -5 5 AL. Everyone's getting +5, so I can actually even drop the other 5. I can just call it -5A -5O +5A +5O. Will it accept that? Let me check. Oh, it did accept it. Where is a place where we see the team abbreviation? Um, we don't have any stats yet. Where do we see the team abbreviation? Team versus team in standings. Thank you. Awesome, that worked. Thanks, Takmado. Appreciate it. Welcome to the chat. Takmado, and also AW, there's a, oh no, AW's been here. Takmado, there's a form for tonight's contest 10-pack giveaway in the chat. This is, did it just reorder the teams? Oh, maybe it did. This is +5 NL, +5 override, +5, uh, oh, I need to add another letter. It's because it's +5 adjust in the, let's do this. AL, AL, AL. You know what's funny? We didn't even bother asking which team is going to win. So this will be NL +5 adjust. This will be NL +5 override -5 +5. Oh, Clado, now I understand why what your question was. You were thinking I was using a statistic that's bunt for hit, even though we're changing sacrifice bunt. Yeah, the definition of the sorry, I should have been more clear. The definition of the sacrifice hit statistic is a successful sacrifice bunt. But they for some reason they use the abbreviation SH for sacrifice hit, but they're not actually getting a hit. It's not a base hit. It's just a sacrifice bunt. It's actually an out, which it's confusing that they use the word hit in the name. Yeah, so sorry, Claydog. I understand your question now. Baseball nerds make everything more complicated. Okay, so the renaming is done. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so we're now in the +5 adjust team. So first, let's go into the team settings. We're going to switch to small ball. But we're going to change sacrifice bunt to, in this case, it'll be +5 team. Okay. And we're also going to change the manager. Oh, coaching's off, so they don't have bench coaches or managers. It's just a team strategy. Because normally you go to front office personnel. Is that right though? If I go to their lineup and ask bench coach, it'd be under front office, and then there's nothing here except the owner. So I guess we're okay. We don't have to make that change. Okay, so we just made it here. The team is +5. And then we'll go to the lineups and just change all the players. And we're using +5 adjust. Adjust, okay. And we're using the DH, so we don't need to do the pitchers. Thank goodness. All right, that wasn't too painful. That's one team down. All right, team strategy. Switch to small ball. And sacrifice bunt +5. And this is also +5 adjust. Oops, oh, that was bad. There we go. All right. The next team is +5 override. So team is +5. Switch to small ball. +5. Oops. Oh, it's not under editor. What am I doing? It's under strategy. And this is override now. So override +5. Tom Tomato started a new project today, inspired by the stream. 5 hours in, you've entered 2 players into the league. It's going to take you a month just to set it up. Uh, do you want to say what the project is, or do you want it to be a surprise? 5 hours for 2 players sounds interesting. Claydog asked Chat GPT who got the most sacrifices in 2023, and then who had the most sacrifice bunts. When I pointed out, it gave me 2 different answers. It broke, and I got an error. AW says the project is entering players every 2.5 hours to see what happens. Oh, it's a World Baseball League. Interesting. Interesting. Are you using real players when possible, or are you making fictional players? I guess you're using real players if it's taking that long. It will need creative players for a lot of countries. Okay. So is this like the World Baseball Classic countries, or are you going to have teams from like every country represented? Like, will there be a Vanuatu team and a, I don't know, what's another tiny country? A WBC Olympics Pan American lots. Okay. So you're casting a pretty wide net. Andorra. Will Andorra have a team? Okay, that's done. +5, +5. Rangers now +5, +5. Override Mets. And Dora the Explorer. International competition only. First into team strategy. Small ball. +5 team. And this is +5 override. Why is this grayed out here? Do I not have, maybe I don't have control of this team? I said all teams to be controlled by me. Let's see if that helps. There we go. For some reason, I didn't have control of this team, which is weird. I've been wanting to do this experiment actually for a long time. I just thought it would be not interesting enough to do on stream. But the more I streamed, and the more I realized y'all are as nerdy as me when it comes to trying to figure out how the game works. I was like, I can do this in stream. People might appreciate this. It's real. I mean, this is in the nitty gritty of the game, right? I don't know that a lot of people mess with these strategy or player strategy sliders, but so it's enough of a topic that Dr. Dynastic talked about it quite a bit today. So I figured I'm going to do it. I mean, I think of him as like a very mainstream OOTP streamer in that he caters to like a huge OOTP audience, right? Everyone from those of us who are really into the nuts and bolts of the game to people who are brand new to the game. And if he thinks it's worth discussing in his stream, then I think it's probably a broad enough topic that it's worth testing out here. Team coaching staff is in control of strategy. Oh, I see. But here's the thing, though, AW. I wanted to adjust the bench coach to make sure the manager of the bench coach didn't override us. And because there's no coaching, there is no bench coach. So I'm just surprised that it didn't let me make these adjustments until I took over the team. All right, now we're going to our first -5 team. This will be interesting. Strategy, everyone's running small ball, but this team is going -5 bunting. And this is an adjust team, so I don't need to change anything but the slider. These are the easiest to do. It's not part of the pack giveaway, but does anyone have guesses on is the team that bunts the most going to win the most or lose the most? Claydog absolutely messes with player size in perfect team. Every time, like, I have no idea if this does anything. I don't know if I'm wasting my time. Lose the most. Bunting bad. All right, team strategy, small ball. Set your slider to -5. Oops, I touched that one by mistake. I'm also trying to think of a way to test this whole theory that holding runners causes um, your pitchers to fatigue more. I don't know. I mean, if the game's programmed that way, of course it'll do that. I would just be surprised if the game was programmed that way. Claire thinks it's less bunting bad, generally speaking, baseball, although even then it kind of is. All right, let's see. Small ball, -5, sacrifice bunt. Until your OP can be measured bun a lot and they will mess it up. That part I don't doubt. I don't doubt that the AI would mess up whatever you try to tell it to do. I do hope that in future OOTPs they are able to fix the specialist thing, like the VLVR specialist. I've never had it work well for me. Oh shoot! I just realized these are all supposed to be. The team is -5, but the players are supposed to be +5. I think I messed that up. I did. All these are supposed to be +5. Strategy's right. It's just wrong in the lineups. If y'all haven't been here, and any of you haven't been here in a couple days, then you missed a new game I made up that it's pretty fun to play. I think some folks in chat are looking forward to playing it themselves. But basically, we create every player on a roster. Prior to the player creation, you designate what positions you want to create for 4 legend, 5 star, I think 6 average, 5 good. I don't know. I have the numbers written up, but like 3 bench and 2 scrub, and you get 5 players generated each for each roster spot, and then we play a season. It's been really fun. So that's something we'll be doing every once in a while, in addition to the experiments. Okay, so the team is -5. We got that right, and the players are So one. Teams are +5 and override this time. Claydock says, didn't chime in the last couple of nights, but really enjoyed watching the self draft format. Definitely going to try that yourself. Yeah, by all means, try it out. And if you want to, you know, join in and play it with us. Because what I want to do is every time someone plays, I'm also going to put that roster in a league. And hopefully we'll have a league of all of our teams that we've drafted and play against each other. I think that part will be, if not as fun, more fun than the single season Sims. You heard me talk about the league, but didn't tune in enough to know what you're. Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to open it up for people to join in. I think to. Um, I think after watching other streamers do stuff like this with community members, I'll make it a channel point redemption. Um, and I asked a few folks kind of how many channel points they had because I want to make it so that people can participate. I don't want to pick a number that's too high. Um, oh, I think I didn't change some of these to override. Let me go back and check these. Okay, this one had an error here and is not override. This one I forgot to override. This one I forgot to override. So all the override teams, I'm just going to double check that I didn't forget to override. Yeah, but Claydog, that makes me happy to hear that you're going to go try that now, because that's part of what I'm hoping to do is get people excited about playing the base game and doing some of these things on their own. Like I love it that Talkmato's is doing all these season sims and posting his results in our Discord. My team is -5, and all the players are +5 override. It's crazy to me that it's already September. Like, we only have one live update left. Like, we're that close to the end of the season. Yet it feels so early, though, because we're still. Because I think of things in terms like OOTP cycles now. Clayton says, seems like a super fun day to sim a season, see what happens. It's more interesting to me than the race for the pennant. That's not a knock on the format. It's just my own preference. Yeah, I also like that it just adds this extra variable of like fictional players, right? That just don't exist in the game in real life, and just seeing what happens with them. All right, so I think all the teams are done. I am going to go back and check all the override teams just to make sure I did the override correctly. It's an easy thing to skip by mistake. Okay, that team was correct. Yep, their team was all correct too. Let me check their team strategy. +5 sacrifice bond. Yep. The pitchers don't make all-star team. That's what happens to them. Yeah, every time I've created or imported players, they don't make the top five in all-star voting. And don't even get me started on relievers. The relievers totally get ripped off. Which is weird though, because the position players do really well. I wonder what it is about how the AI votes that does that. So we're saving this game. I'm going to save it as a quick start in case I want to repeat it. This will be Blend Slider VO1 or QSO1. Or for average league -5 +5 team +5 adjust +5 override players. Oh, it makes you wonder if All-Star voting, even without being based on popularity, if it still takes previous years into account. I would be surprised if it did that though, because then, like, kind of, I think that's what you're saying. In your next uh, line in the chat is that's like a de facto popularity. So I would be surprised if it was set up that way. Okay, now I'm controlling the teams. So let's return. First, let's make everyone. Let's make sure they have lineups. I think they do. Yeah, I'm just gonna spot check. Yeah, because I didn't notice anything empty when I was doing the edits. So let's give the computer back control of the teams. Set all teams to AI control, fire human managers. Yeah. Cogmato imported one foreign player who has a code in the minor league database. It gave him all 35 and 40 ratings. Then I imported a guy who played one Major League Baseball season, about 120 appearances, -0.6 WAR, and gave him very respectable average ratings. Yeah, the game severely nerfs anyone whose ratings come from anywhere other than MLB. And of course, when we run into it, it's usually because it's a Negro League player, um, and that designation I'm sure was set when the game launched, which was before the MLB announced that Negro League stats are now Major League stats. So I'm hoping, at least for the Negro Leagues, that gets fixed for um, OTP 26. The other thing is, I mean, I don't know how hard this is to code, but I would love just a switch you can toggle on and off and just say, don't nerf stuff when I import it. Um, yeah, Clay Dog, I think that's a legacy of until this year, right? Major League Baseball said that Negro League stats were not Major League Baseball stats, and so in the game it is treated as a minor league stat. Um, I'm actually thinking. I mean, I hope this doesn't happen, but I mean, could OGP potentially get in trouble with the Players Association if it doesn't fix it? Because if the Major League Baseball position is Negro League stats or Major League stats, then come OOTP 26, if it's not corrected, then we are not treating a subset of Major League stats as Major League stats. So I don't know if that violates any kind of deal in the license or not, um, as players of the game, I want those stats to not be nerfed, or those ratings. I mean, okay, so computer has control. We've saved the game. We set it as a quick start. I think we're ready to go. So I think, as usual, this will be your 3-minute warning for the form, for the contest form, and I will go ahead and run some ads. The old trash in, trash out mantra for inherent bias in coding. Yeah, although this is a systematic bias, right? It just treated the entirety of Negro League stats and said these are minor league stats. And now Major League Baseball is saying, okay, now that entirety of Negro League stats, those are Major League stats. So I'm hoping it's a relatively easy fix to say, okay, just no longer nerf these. Just import them as if they were Major League stats. I mean, I'm not a coder. I don't know how hard that would be to do, but yeah, it's an entire league's worth of stats and ratings to unnerf. Well, actually, that's the thing is though they're not unnerfing. You don't have to unnerf it. You just have to stop nerfing it because if you go into 1933 and look at the Negro League stats ratings, they're beautiful. There are lots of blues and greens, and Josh Gibson looks like Josh Gibson. It's only when you import them where Josh Gibson turns into a bunch of red and yellow 40 and 30 ratings, which are ridiculous. And so it's not even saying unnerf it, it's just saying don't nerf it, which as a non programmer, it sounds like it should be easier to do than to unnerf something. But, you know, but I mean, hopefully there's some impetus from Major League Baseball saying, okay, you can't keep treating these differently now. We've announced that they're the same. So hopefully, like that, you know, increases a priority on the roadmap too. But yeah, let me run those commercials. I am going to get some more water, take a bio break, and then we'll come back and not be interrupted for the sim. All right, I think we're back. I'm also using my tablet here to check on the 6L. Looks like I might have been knocked out in the semifinal. Yeah. Oh, swept in the semifinal. But I did get a point. And if the team that beat me goes on to win the championship, I think it's Lap who gives. Does he give 2 points, or is that EVC who gives 2 points to the semifinal team that loses to the champion? Tagmano says one thing he's struggling with is how to handle players who only made it to AAA or AA. Should it be average players, bench, or scrubs? They're good enough to compete with major leaguers and international play. Hmm. Yeah, that's a tough question. One thing I did notice is in the player creation, um, it does it does adjust the quality of the player to the destination league. So the last 2 nights, we've had it set to MLB. If you set that to a lower type of league, it will nerf the players. I don't know like how they calculate how much to nerf them and if it's appropriate, but it at least gives you a guideline if you are using player creator for some of those players. Yeah, Claydog, thank you. Yeah, to me, the competition in the 5L and 6L are so good that I think it's always an accomplishment just to make it to the semis. So yeah, I appreciate that. So the other thing I noticed is even though it's we set this every time when we save a quick start, it does seem to undo this all the time. So I have to go in and change our do not disturb settings and our mailbox settings. Okay. With that, we should be good to go. Let me close the form and we'll take a look at what the responses are. If anyone is about to hit submit, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to close the form and um, generate the spreadsheet so we can take a look at the responses. Claydog won a bunch of EVCs the first couple days and was struggling to get back in the semis since. Oh, you made it again for the West Coast. That's awesome. Congrats. Yeah, like in poker terms, there's no dead money in these tournaments, right? It's all managers that we know and that um they follow the streams pretty closely, and so they're very up on like kind of who the best cards are, and um yeah, there are no easy wins in there. Or I guess very much there I think much fewer easy wins than there are in the average tournament. Okay, so I didn't hear any objections, so I'm going to close the form and let's create this sheet. And let me hide the names. All right, let's take a look what we're all thinking here. Okay, which team will have the fewest sacrifice hits? Um, okay, everyone win with +5 adjust. -5 team +5 adjust. Which team will have the most? Uh, we had we might have one winner without any further tiebreaks here. We have one team with +5 team +5 adjust. The others went with +5 team +5 override. What will be the number of sacrifice hits of the team with the most? Everywhere from 31 to 100. And then what's the number with the fewest? Anywhere from 3 to 24. Two teams against 24. That's interesting. All right. Thank you for participating, everybody. Good luck to you. And let's start the sim. Yeah, 100 versus 5 for the highest and lowest. That's quite a range. Now, and is the consensus that the highest bunting teams, so basically the +5 teams, are going to do the worst because they're bunting the most? Oh, one other thing I wanted to make sure is I wanted to make sure I got everyone's strategies correct. Wait, what happened here? Oh, okay, I'm glad I checked. Um, I gave AI control, right? And so it reset all the strategies. So this is a +5 team. Oh my goodness, I hope it didn't undo all the player settings I just did too. That would suck. Damn it, it did. Oh, jeez. Did I save before I gave the AI control? If not, I have the quick save too. I think I did the quick save before I gave the AI control. Okay, I'm gonna have to load from the quick save. Well, I'm glad I checked. That would have been a really weird simulation. All right, let's do a spot check here. Ooh, good, good, good. All right, okay. All right. Thank goodness for the quick start. Um, oh yes, I was gonna check to make sure all the teams had the right strategy. So they're a +5. They're a +5. They're a +5. They're a +5. They're a -5. They're a -5. All right, so now I am not going to return control to the AI now that I know that's what happens. Ooh, thank goodness for the quick start. All right. Crisis averted. I'm sure the AI wouldn't do that to you again. Just trust them. Yeah. All right, here we go. Our little 2 game sampler here. Oh, we have a +5 bunting team with one's at the bottom, one's at the well, again, 2 games. Can't really tell anything with that. All right, I'm gonna go 2 months here before we take a look at anything. Their bunting too hard is going over infielder force head. Okay, what do we have here? The +5 teams are leading the AL. The +5 teams are, you know what? They're second and third, but they're essentially tied for the lead in the NL, right? Because they're both 1 game behind the -5 +5 adjust team. It is interesting that the -5 +5 adjust team. Oh no, in the NL it's the -5 +5 override team. Okay, all right. We're not seeing anything yet. And again, we're not going by the standings. We're going to go by the stats at the end. But let's finish the month of June. Okay, we still don't have consistent +5 at the top or bottom here. +5 +5 override is leading the league. And okay, we do have +5 +5 override leading both leagues. Now, theoretically, we think those are the teams, the +5 +5 teams are going to be the ones bunting the most. Yet 2 of them are leading the league. Now, here's another thing. We've seen this before. The spread is pretty wide in the AL. Like the last place team is 15 games behind. Pretty tight in the NL. 6 games separate the 4 teams. Now, this is going to mean nothing, but I'm still going to look at the All Star game just so we can see. The most popular All Star average infielder 1 and average catcher 2 will finish today. Let's take a look at the All Star voting. These literally mean nothing to me. They spelled 4 wrong. Let's see the rosters. I mean, you would just expect this to be random, right? If everyone's bunting the same, that's the only thing that's changing. But they're within the well. I mean, I guess if you did see a pattern, you could say not only does more or less bunting make it harder to win or lose, but it also negatively or positively impacts your performance as a player. SP 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see. Oh yeah, that is interesting. Well, I think this is just their version of alphabetical order, though, right? So I think that's just what it is. All right, let's go to the home run derby. Give everyone a break from all the bunting. Let them hit some home runs. Oh, there's our boy, average infielder 4, making it to round 2. Average infielder 4, making it to the final. Oh, average outfielder 4 takes it 13-12. He put up a good fight, though. All right, let's see. Let's look at the game and the box score, I guess. How many were bunts? There should have been a bunting contest instead of a home run contest. One thing though, at least these starters look normal. Let's look at that. So many of the All Star rosters we've seen in the past, right? They had questionable choices. 8-4, 3-7-3, 11-7. Well, here's a 5-8, but not terrible ERA or WHIP. I mean, we've seen some with ERAs of sixes. Here's a bunch of sub 500 pitchers. I mean, at least nothing egregious this time. Let's check the NL. Okay. At least we don't have any pitchers that look like totally ridiculous being in the All Star game this time around. All right, let's quick play. Average infielder 3 is the MVP. 5-3 win. Let's see how many bunts there were in the game. Does it say? Oh yeah, sacrifice once. One, two, just two. I guess it's reported under base running. All right, let's go back to the standings. Let's sim the rest of the season. We had to watch an old video today of Shaq versus Pujols in the home run derby. Did Shaq hit any? Which one had the bigger head? Well, in the NL, I mean, you all thought more bunts would be worse record, but the plus five teams are, well, granted, it's only a 5 game spread, so you can't really read a lot into that. But plus five override is leading the AL by 11 games. All right, let's sim all of August now. Small ball supremacy confirmed. Okay, we're in September, so let's just go to the end of the regular season. All right, we need one more day to finish the season. Finish today. Okay, so in the AL, plus five override wins by 15 games. And in last place is minus five plus five adjust. In the NL East, it's plus five adjust wins by 2 games over minus five plus five adjust. So ugly thing looked like Barkley playing golf. Oh, Barkley playing golf is one of the most painful things to watch. I sometimes think just by watching him, I'm worried that my golf swing will get messed up. Okay, so we've said that the season stats just get confounded by so many other things. So we're not going to worry about that. That's why that's not in the questionnaire for the contest. But let's figure out the regular season, and then we'll get the team stats, and that'll tell us, I think, what we need to know. Or I mean, not the rest of it, but let's figure out the season. I mean, all right. So the playoff teams. I mean, it's a mishmash. There's minus one, minus five plus five override, plus five override, minus five plus five adjust, and plus five adjust. There's like no rhyme or reason to these. Also, I just imagine someone like wandering into our stream, not knowing the game, or just hearing me saying -5 +5, override adjust, +5 -5. Being like, I don't know what the heck this guy's talking about. All right, we got +5. The two +5 teams make it to the World Series. Again, theoretically bunting the most. Number nerd. All right, and the +5 override Rangers win the World Series. All right, let's get a screenshot of this and a screenshot of the standings. The time it says, I've been here an hour and I barely know what you're talking about. It's amazing. All right. The stats. Where are the stats? Okay, so the good thing is the average home runs, these look pretty normal, except I will say the RBI totals are down. So I wouldn't be surprised if by making these teams bunt so much, we are uh nerfing their ability to score runs. All right, let's look at the team stats. Where are the sacrifice hits? Way over here. What? Why are there so few? I don't understand. Why are there so few? The +5 teams in particular, they're set to small ball and maxed out their team bunting and set to +5 override adjust. And they bunted 10 times. This is crazy. Okay, but this is interesting. The the team with the fewest bunts, but I say by far because it's a factor of 10x. The -5 +5 had clearly the lowest. -5 +5 override acted just like the +5 +5 teams. So in both leagues, -5 +5 adjust bunted the fewest times. Yeah, it doesn't show failed attempts. That's true. But I think it's fair to say in both cases, the -5 +5 adjust team did behave differently from the other teams. This is where I think it would have been helpful to have some zero teams in here because what I think is happening is so I always assumed override just meant whatever your team setting is, whatever this setting is what it's going to be. So whether it's -5 or +5, +5 override means it's going to be +5. And that seems to be holding out to be true because the both override teams had the most bunts in their leagues. And then the -5 +5 adjust. What's still not clear though, because frankly we don't have enough data points, is it -5 and then +5 to 0, which is still less than 5 +5. So yeah, there seems to be a pattern, but there's not enough here. So Tomato, I don't think I learned nothing. I think I did learn though that so there's two things I think are clear from this. If you have a +5 override, it doesn't matter what your team setting is. You're maxing out whatever that thing is. What's not clear to me though is what the +5 adjust is doing. And coming into it, that was the biggest question mark I had, and in the data, it's still a question mark. So I do think we learned +5 override is going to be the highest. Whether it's acting like, oh, and it's not acting like +10. That's something. Yeah, it does seem like we'd have to sim 10 seasons. 10, yeah, that sounds right. Or, I mean, what are the other sliders? Stealing? We can do it with stealing. Maybe there's more opportunities for stealing. I've learned average players don't follow instructions. You know, the other thing we could have done is we could have maximized their bunting ability so that it's more likely that when they try to bunt, they get a bunt that shows up in the stats. He's like, third base coaches hate their players, keep saying their bunts that they never do. Okay, so if we do this with bunting, I think one thing I will definitely do is I will max out everyone's bunting ability because then we should get more sacrifice hits because they'll be more likely to be successful. I think though maybe the better thing would be to try this with stolen base aggressiveness or stolen base ability. Or not sorry, the sliders don't change ability. It would just be the stolen base aggressiveness. Because I think I think and hopefully it will raise the sensitivity by having a data point that's more tied to the settings. Here's another weird thing I just noticed too. Why is it that the two +5 adjust teams in both leagues have way more stolen bases? Look at this. +5 adjust, 288 and 281 steals versus 167, 176. In the NL, +5 adjust, 267 and 278 versus 115, 187. Go make sure I move the correct slider. That I think that's right. Let's check that out. So for strategy, it's sack bunt for sure, yeah. And then sack bunt. Those are all sack bunt. Yep. Let me check one more just in case, because I'm all for making sure I didn't make a mistake here. Yeah, these are sack bunt. Yeah, and I remember for all of them, it was the second one from the bottom. So on the player strategy, what button do you scroll through the players? I just arrow up and down. Once you're in a roster, you can just arrow up and down. Oh yeah, Clay Dog. It's the greatest thing for. It's a great quality of life trick for when you're editing players and stuff. It's awesome. Okay, so what is going on here that setting your bunting at +5 adjust for your players makes them steal more? I would have thought it was just coincidence, except it happened in both leagues. I mean, it could still be coincidence, but to me, like the fact that it happened so clearly twice, or frankly, 4 times, makes it much less likely to just be coincidence. That's weird. Tell me if I know I'm stealing. Except the +5 override is being told to steal too. And it's not, it's independent of the team setting. It's only the adjust teams. I'm not getting thrown at it second unless it's my fault. I mean, that is weird, right? It seems really weird to me. I mean, it's got to be coincidence. Unless there's some kind of coding error. Like, why would going adjust mean. No, no, for sure. Coincidence is definitely possible. But it's weird that it's a +100 difference and it's only the adjust teams. I mean, +100 on a basis of 150 is huge. And so the difference seems statistically significant. And then that it, yeah, I mean, this is weird. Check the team strategies for those teams. Okay, let's check the adjust teams. Okay, this one's right. Sacrifice bunt +5. And it is small ball. This is right. +5 adjust. Yeah, this is -5 +5 adjust. Yep, that's right. -5 +5 adjust. Yeah. Yeah, steals up in all of them. So that part's not surprising because it's small ball. We went small ball with all of them. So yeah, so I was saying earlier, cranking up the bunting ability would make more sacrifice hits show up here. But I actually think maybe testing it with steals might be better because clearly you can generate a lot of steals. But yeah, to Charles' point in the chat, like this did not tell us a bunch. It did tell me though that override is doing what I thought it would do, which is regardless of what you set for team, override is replacing the team setting. I think that part's pretty clear. This is more real life to OOTP thought. I wonder if showing bunt causes the infielders to play in. Oh, that's interesting. And then if you're in, you can't hold. Yeah, that's interesting. But in that case, though, then the override team should be more because they're the ones actually who have higher bunting. Because if you look at the adjust teams, they only had 2 and 6, right, versus 12 and 5, and the adjust teams had 1 and 10 versus 11 and 10. So I think the two things I am taking away, even though it's a small sample size, that override does seem to do what I thought it does, which is ignore the team setting and replace it with the override setting. And given that like -5 +5 adjust still had the fewest stolen bases in both leagues, it does. But +5 adjust acted more like. Yeah, I don't think we can draw any conclusion on the low end, except to say that -5 +5 adjust is definitely not acting like override, right? It's much lower. But other than that, I don't think there's a ton we can conclude from this. But we can give away packs from this. So, what are I have to sum the totals. I need a piece of paper here. All right, so we had +5 override. They had 10 in one league and 15 in other leagues. So they had 25. +5 adjust. Had 10 in one league and 6 in the other for 16. -5 +5 override. Had 11 in one league and 12 in the other for 23. And then -5 +5 adjust. Had 1 in one league and 2 in the other for a total of 3. You know what? When you look at these, if we should look at these totals. Well, let me put it on a slide here. So here's the right. If I add the totals in, let me make a duplicate of this slide. Okay, so -5 +5 adjust was 3. -5 +5 override is 23. Minus +5 +5 adjust is 16. And -5 +5 override is 25. Okay. So if you take these and reorder them by the number of bunts they had, right? These are the sums across the two leagues. Okay, overrides are starting to become more clearly ahead. +5 adjust seems to be a little bit behind. And -5 +5 is way behind. What's surprising to me is I thought if anything, +5 +5 adjust would either be the same as the others or even a little bit more if you believe the theory that +5 +5 adjust is actually like adding more to the +5. It's weird to me that it's below. Hmm. Okay. Anyway, still not enough to draw any conclusions, but I do think that's interesting that these are bunched together and then this is below them. I can't think of a story that explains why this is in between the two and not either the same as or above. I'm gonna have to think about that. Okay. Anyway, let's give away some packs. Okay, the first was which team will have the fewest sacrifice hits, and everyone said -5 team +5 adjust, and you all were correct. They had 3 combined. The second question was which team will have the most, and the most was +5 team +5 override. All right, so we have 4 left. All but one of you are geniuses. I agree. All right, what number? What is the number of sacrifices by the team with the most sacrifices AL and NL combined? That number is 25. So the first and fourth are our winners. Let me unhide. Actually, wait. Before we do that, let's just go on to the next tiebreaker. Okay, the next tiebreaker was what will be the fewest, and that answer is 3, which was correctly answered exactly by our first contestant, and very close by our third contestant, who also gets the 100 for the most. Awesome. That's awesome. All right, let me unhide the Twitch IDs. Our winner guessed exactly right, the fewest. That's pretty cool. All right, so who are our winners? AW and Clay Dizzle. AW with the 7 packs, Clay with the 3. So I'm going to add at the end here first place, second place. All right. Man, these number of bunk guesses, pretty good. Pretty good. And and Smiley Face Jane, way off on the high end, but almost spot on the low end. So still really good guesses. AW and Claydog, congratulations to our pack winners. I actually owe Nicolino the results from the last 2 streams as well. So I apologize for the delay. But he's been super good about turning them around fast. I've been slow about getting them to him, so I apologize for any of you get your packs late. And I put Smiley Face Jane in 4th place. Well, but I think there was some redemption there by this guess of 5 on the low end. That's very close to the 3. Of course, AW can brag that AW was exactly right. So, all right. Well, that was fun. It did. I do feel now though that I am right in my definition of the override part. I just still not clear to me what adjust does. Um, but yeah, it also became more clear when I summed them across the 2. And so to whoever it was that said like we'd have to do this like a bunch of other times. I can't remember if you said 10 or 100, but yeah, just doing it more I think would help clarify the picture. And it just matters a ton for how people drop slider strategies in the perfect team. So more to be done there for sure. Yeah. I think maybe doing, I mean, it would suck from a setup standpoint, but I think maybe doing the 8 team league and having -5 team, 0 team, +5 team, and then doing -5 uh adjust, -5 override, +5 adjust, +5 override. Having all those in there might be helpful. And I think switching it to steals might be better because we'll just get more data points that way. Um, but when we switch it to steals, I think we'd have to look at the total of stolen bases and caught stealing, right? Because the slider for steals is how much you attempt. Yeah, right. We have to check caught stealing and steals as like a sum. Um, but yeah, I think we're on to. I think we have a good approach. We just need. I think steals gives us better sensitivity, and we have to cover the zeros. And at some point, maybe we can drop the overrides if we think we know what override means. But I think override's helpful to keep in place because it gives you a relative number to check against. Um, but this is like a pretty nitty gritty, deep in the weeds aspect of OTP. So we probably won't revisit this again for a little while. But when we do, I think we have a good approach. I'm off tomorrow night. It's my usual Wednesday night off from streaming. Um, in the meantime, what I hope to do is set up the channel point redemption so that if anyone wants to play the creator roster game, you can go ahead and do a redemption. And what I'll do is give you access to the spreadsheet so you can enter in your choices for uh night off. Well, it's I don't have to have Wednesdays off now, but once curling starts, I'll have to miss Wednesday nights anyway. So what am I going to set it to points wise? Oh, I don't know yet. I was thinking 20,000 because then it's like the people who are regulars would have enough points to do it. Oh, yeah, you did just spend yours, Clay Dog. That's right. The Tuxedo, I did. Yes, I did say curling. Do 10K? Okay, I've got some questions out to people. I want to see like how many points they have to get a sense of like what makes sense. And also I just realized I've been streaming for so many streams that I don't want it to cost people like all their points because then like it'll take them forever to get enough to do it again or do another redemption. Um but yeah, I'll take that under consideration for sure. So I guess the thing is, I don't want it to be prohibitive from people to be able to do it and then do like another, game. Um, but I also want it to be a reward for people who are regulars in the stream. So I just have to strike the right balance there. But yeah, AW has 9.7 thousand. Um, should I just leave? Should I do a chair stream on Wednesday, AW, so you can get to 10,000? Um, Yeah, so we will revisit this. I just don't think, unlike some of the other experiments, we won't hit it again for a little while. Then the other thing I want to do this week is I want to launch that franchise favorites save. This is the one where like me and the other affiliates and some community members got to pick our favorite team and build a roster of the all-time favorite players from that franchise. And so I'm going to import them and do a sim in 2023 and then save that roster into a league. And once that league is full, we'll do a simulation. Kind of like how I described we do it with the build the roster or create a roster game too. But I've got rosters in from like EVC and Dr. Dynastic and Cheeky. And so a bunch of people have been really generous with their time to build their roster. So I want to go ahead and get that started. Uh, I'm going to be the guinea pig, so I will go first with the Mets with my all-time Mets roster. So I'll probably do that sometime this week. I think the amount of time it takes to do the drafting, I definitely don't want to try it out on a night when Max streams after me. So it'll probably be a Saturday, Sunday, or Monday night where you test that out. Um, yeah, Togmato, I'm not looking at any number above 25K. I'm actually thinking between somewhere between 10 and 20, 10 and 25K. So you'll definitely be able to do it if you want to do it. Um, I mean, mainly, I don't want some random person who, floats in here to be able to take a spot when you guys want to play. Um, so I have to set it, I want to set it high enough for that. But low enough that like especially if we're doing multiple games, that y'all can enter multiple games. But and I'm figuring this out as I go, so I'm sure we'll adjust those things as we go. Um, anyway, thanks for being here tonight. I appreciate y'all participating. I hope you had fun. This is one where even though the results were money, I had a blast doing it, and I do think I learned a few things. Just not everything I was hoping to learn. But let's figure out where we're going to raid you. So let's see. Sensei Martian's up. Midnight Sumo is up, and Ophi's up. Oh, okay, Clay. I'm glad you had fun. I had a lot of fun doing that one. Clay says he's watched more sumos in the last couple of days. That's awesome. Are you watching it in Midnight Sumo with the English commentary? I'm assuming so. That's great. I will tell you, it's one of those things like when I watch the Olympics, summer or winter, there are sports that I don't think about for 4 years, and then I get obsessed with. And it's like that when I see sumo. Like if I'm visiting Japan and it happens to be on, I don't even think about it for years, and then suddenly like I'm obsessed with it. So I can understand how that goes. Um, oh, you have been watching his stream, and he has a good background noise voice. Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true. All right, what do y'all think? You want more sumo? You want some Sensei Mart? Let me see what Sensei Martian's up to today. Let's see if he's walking. Oh, he's taking a little ice cream break right now. Let's see. We did Ophi yesterday, right? So I think maybe we should take Ophi off the list for today. Um, Sensei, you know what? Let's do this. Um, let me see how much more. Okay, let's do this. Sumo is definitely like a limited time thing. When this tournament's over, they're not going to be streaming again for a while. Well, they stream, but they usually stream videos of like Japanese restaurants and stuff. Um, and Sensei Martian, I can raid into on the weekends. So let's do this. On the nights where an Ofi only streams during the week. So today I'm going to raid into Sumo. And in the future, on the weekends, we'll raid into Sensei Martian. And on the weekdays, we'll raid into Ofi. Of course, that's provided no one's streaming OOTP, which I forgot to check. Let me check that. Is anyone streaming Out of the Park Baseball? Oh, no way. There is someone. There's someone streaming OOTP Baseball. They have 0 viewers. Oh, we can blow their minds. Okay, we're raiding into this person. Bitty Bits. Okay, look, we're going to raid into this person with 0 viewers because they're streaming OTP. I think this will be great. But if you do want to check out Sumo, I'll probably be in there. And if you do want to check out Ofi, I'll probably be chatting in there. And I am going to see what Sensei March is up to. But I do want to see how this person reacts to us raiding in. This is great. I've always wanted to do this. Someone's streaming OTP with 0 viewers, and we're going to drop in with 60. This will be super fun. But as for Denny, thank you as always for the raid. Thanks to all of you who stuck around to check out our weird experiment today. And thanks to OTP Developments for the giveaway packs. All right, let's see how this person reacts to our raid.